Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us this morning for our final presentations and for our graduation celebration. Before we start our group project presentation, we would like to take a moment to introduce ourselves. My name is Lizuka Coates. I am a military spouse. My husband is active duty Navy, and we are currently living in Alexandria, Virginia. My main contributions to our group project were setting up a Django app, working on backend functionality, creating a REST API with Django-rest framework, and implementing a CRUD application. On the front-end side, I also worked on several React components, as well as fetching and displaying data from one of our third-party APIs.
Hi, I'm Sam Zeely. I spent 4 years active duty in the Navy. I'm currently living in Boston, Massachusetts, and I worked on React components, CSS stylings, and the Django backend models and database.
I'm Aaron Shipman. I'm a U.S. Navy veteran of 5 years. I worked on our front-end functionality, our third-party API calls, as well as the React page animations.
My name is Robert Hutton. I'm a U.S. Air Force veteran, and I worked on the front and back end components of the authentication, as well as the DevOps role of Dockerizing and hosting the website on AWS.
For our final project, a full stack web application, our team has created a book club app. This is an app for bookworms and casual readers alike, for potential book club hosts, and in general for anyone who loves a good book and is looking for inspiration for what to read next. The goal of our book club app is not only to provide a way to discover new books, make it easier for our users to search and find that perfect pick for their next book club read, but also to facilitate connecting with a larger community of fellow book lovers, as well as being able to exchange ideas and opinions with other readers.
For our tech stack, we used Python code in combination with Django and the Django-rest framework for our backend. Our front end uses JavaScript and JSX code, CSS and Bootstrap for styling, Axios to handle API calls, and of course the React library. For version control and to allow group collaboration for our application, we utilized GitHub. SQLite was used for our database engine. Then for deployment, we used a Docker container and an EC2 instance from AWS, along with Nginx and Gunicorn. For our third-party API calls, we used the New York Times API, as well as the Google Books API.
And now we're going to do a short demo of the features of our website.
So our application is containerized using Docker and hosted on an AWS EC2 instance. It utilizes DRF authentication, and we use that to implement a total site lockout to unauthenticated users. So when you access the site for the first time, you'd be prompted to a page like this. You can sign in with some username, maybe Paul, and email address paul@paul, and similar for the password. And then now that we've created that user, we can sign in to his account. And you can see now we've passed the authentication barrier and we have access to the full site. So now Lizuka will tell us more about the functionality of the site.
Here we're landing on the home page where we can actually see the current most popular books. We are grabbing some data from the New York Times Books API, and this is giving us the top 15 bestsellers fiction books. For each bestseller, we are using a React Bootstrap card component to display the book title, the book cover image, a short description, as well as the current rank in the list. We are also providing a few buy links for those people who like to purchase those books, either from Amazon or from Barnes and Noble or from other stores. Our API key is stored in an environment variable to keep it secure. Next, I'm going to talk about the book reviews page. This is where we implement our CRUD application. We are on the backend side, we have Django models, which are representations of our data, URLs to provide a way to access the data. And we use Django-rest framework serializers to convert the Django models into a different format suitable for the front end. If you would like to write a review, first of all, you can see all the reviews that other users wrote. You can see who wrote the reviews, and you can see the date the review was written, as long as with the review, and this one doesn't have any comments yet. If you would like to write a review, then you are brought to this page where you can select the title of one of our top 15 books, write a new review. I'm just going to write this. This is a great book. I recommend it, and submit. And this review is being added to the list of other reviews. Currently, you can only see the beginning of the review just in case the review is really long. But if you like to read the full review, you can click here, and then you can see the entire review. If you don't want it to display anymore, you can delete it. And now I'm going to ask Aaron to talk a little bit about the work he did on this project.
So for our search bar, we wanted to create a way for our users to be able to search for books using any type of keyword. So we utilize the Google Books API. We have an input field where the user can type in anything they might be interested in. So you can type in fiction, and then the user will be given a set of results separated into individual React cards with each book displayed. And then if you wanted to find out more info, you can click that link for the book. It'll take you to a Google page that shows, maybe reviews or brief previews of the books for some of them. There's all kinds of information on the Google API. And then we have our book recommendations page. For users who don't really know what they want to read next, we wanted to have a page that would give them a set of recommended books for them to look into. And for this page, we use the New York Times Books API just to display popular authors like Stephen King and John Grisham books, along with brief reviews by book critics from New York Times. And then for our page animations, we used Framer Motion, which is a popular open source library made for React. And once you set up Framer Motion, basically just wrap your components, your route components inside Framer Motion. And then after that, with just a few lines of code, you can create custom animations for each page on your application. If you wanted to, you could even add custom animation for every single button or title, everything on your app, but that would get a little bulky with the code. In our case, the animation just runs briefly each time you transition between pages. And now Sam will go over our nav bar, styling, and our about page.
So the About page captures a lot of the visual themes we use throughout the application and also gives us a chance to introduce ourselves to our users, with each of us sharing our name, contact information, and favorite book. We used Bootstrap for styling. For colors, you'll see the beige and orange, blue and green show up a lot on the site, such as in the gradient background color of the pages, the book club logo, the buttons, the interactive nav bar, and all of the React components throughout the site are styled similarly for cohesiveness.
So some of the challenges that we faced when tackling this project was initially kind of a group organization groove that we had to get into regarding Git and developing a CI/CD flow amongst our team. There's also some challenges in Dockerizing things like our environment variables and learning how to do that, and also communicating with our Dockerized application once it was hosted on our EC2 instance, and sharing things like secrets amongst each other, such as API keys, etc.
As far as what's next for our project, we'd really like to add a chat feature so that way users can have more real-time interaction with each other. Personalized book recommendations would be great, since we'd like to be tracking what books a user has read. We could then make predictions and help them figure out where to go next. We'd like to expand the user profiles to include avatars, bios, and a list of the books that the user has read, so that way the user can have a more personalized experience, and the ability to post photos of a favorite book passage, so that way users can share that with others. And now we'd like to open it up for any questions that y'all might have for us.
All right, thank you very much, book club. Yeah, so one question is, what was the most challenging part of this particular application for you guys?
I think perhaps Lazuka could talk a bit about the developing the CRUD portion. I know that we all kind of had a difficult time working through the comments portion of the reviews. Lazuka, if you wanted to talk a bit about that.
Yeah, so our CRUD application had some nesting models, and we were able to grab the reviews that belong to the books, but we worked really hard to get the comments that were related to the reviews that related to books, and we got really close to getting it done, but in the end we were not able to accomplish it, so we kind of put it on the back burner, and it just became a would like to have feature.
Cool, great. Yeah, so that kind of is related to maybe a question about how you guys went about prioritizing features and planning things out.
I think the way that we did that is when we first began the project, we kind of sat down together, or rather collaboratively over Zoom, and just drew up what the bare minimum site should look like and what functionalities it had. And then, we worked hard on that. And then once that was accomplished in its bare bones form, then we started to think about things like styling and adding our, additional features that we kind of thought of during the building process.
All right, great. Thank you very much.